get this shared up. Let's see. All right, almost done. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm all shared up. Let me just go ahead and pull it up on my computer though so I can see what everyone is saying while I'm doing this. I like to have music on while I do this, especially because I'm kind of talking to myself. But so if it's loud, let me know. But it's totally royalty-free music, because you never know who's watching, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. So let's see. All right. Thank you, Tiffany. Now I can see. Okay. Yay! Okay. So if you're here, say hi. Looks like what I can see is a little bit delayed, but that's okay. Yeah, I don't want to get flagged, Tiffany. Hi, Dad. You did? Oh, I was wondering if you did. You're going to have to tell me about that. I heard somebody say something about getting flagged, and I was like, yeah, I don't need that right now, so I'm good. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like my video is a little behind. Hopefully it's not for you guys, but all right. I think we're good to go now. I'm looking at my hands and they're not going at the same time. That's okay. Hi, Robin from Seattle. I'm Angela. I am the owner of 3L Creations. I am in San Diego, California. And I have been a wreath maker for about 1.5 years now. So not very long, but I just love getting an idea, making it a reality. That's like one of my most favorite things, because I usually surprise myself at how much better it turns out to be than I anticipated it to be. And maybe some of you can agree and understand where I'm coming from when I say that. So with that said, I think this, I don't know, I've been making several flower wreaths lately. And there's been several that I've really liked, but I think this is my favorite by far. I'd like to think I'm a very patriotic person. And so, I love all things that have to do with where I'm from. Hi, Norma. And so I saw a picture, and I like to just make things my own from what I see. And I really surprised myself with how it turned out. So it's actually quite simple. It's quite a bit of work to do it, but honestly, I don't even realize how much time has gone by when I've done it. So this was actually a custom wreath order that I had. I had shown somebody a picture of what I had found and said I wanted to make it. And so they said that they wanted it, and I said, okay, challenge accepted. Now I need to figure out how to do this. So I will go over everything. I pretty much already made all the petals. As you could see in front of me, you could see the ends of them. But I did save a few so that I can go over it with you to show you in case this is something you decide that you want to do on your own. So I started with, so this is what I'm going to be making. This actually started as a 12-inch frame. There are frames that are 4 wires like this, but there's also some that are 3 wires. And while I don't always use the top, I want to be able to, in case maybe I want to add some leaves on here, I can use this for that. And then I use this plastic canvas mesh. I think this one is a number 7. And I use that and I put it on with zip ties. Because when I get to the center, what happens is that I need to use this part to put that on. So it'll all make sense once you see it as well. But, so this is the wreath frame. And typically, when talking about the frame, this is the first wire, second wire, third wire, fourth wire. And I'm sorry if you see my fingers are so horribly ugly. It's because I've been doing a lot of wreaths, and with everything going on, my roots are out in full force and my nails are in really bad need of a manicure. But I'm sure I'm not alone. So anyways, this is wire 1, 2, 3, and 4. I also am using the 3 colors that I'm using, obviously, are the red, white, and blue. These were 10-inch rolls of poly burlap mesh. I've been buying supplies from several different places, so I'm not exactly sure where I got everything from, but it was either Craft Outlet, the Wreath Shop, or Trendy Tree, and that's as of right now. And then I actually used mesh for the center. And this is a 10-inch mesh. It escapes me where I got this from. But afterwards, I'm going to put this on YouTube, and I will tell you exactly where you can get everything that you need for this. Because I got the wire frame is actually from a wholesaler I use. But I do know that I found them on Amazon. A lot of these sizes, though, like I learned how to make flowers from Julie's Wreath Boutique. She is phenomenal and just amazing at what she does. And so I know she uses 10-inch frames, and she gets those from Consumer Crafts, but it's been out of stock for a while. And so I've been used to making 14-inch wreaths, or using 14-inch wreath frames, so I just decided to use the 12 for this one. I use zip ties to make the petals. I actually was using, I think this is 6-inch. I bought 4-inch. This is the first time I'm going to be using this, so we'll see how that goes. I just find that usually with putting a petal together, it's easier to use a smaller zip tie as opposed to a bigger one. So, and then I got stars from Michaels, and I hand painted all of them myself. So those, I'll show you how I put those on when we get to that. So I already cut all the mesh. I already made pretty much all of the petals. And so I'm just going to show you with the leftovers that I have, how I did that. Remember that I once was a novice, or even more advanced than that, but wanted to try something new. And so, for me, watching videos, it's easier said than done sometimes. So what I've had to do is pause and rewind or what have you in order to make it. So by all means, if you need to do that and you decide to buy the supplies to do this, you're more than welcome to pause it. Again, this will be going on YouTube, my YouTube channel as well. So these are 10-inch rolls of poly burlap mesh. Now there's different types of mesh that you can use. The mesh I'm using for the center is actually different. It's just a regular Deco mesh, but it's got foil, as you can see, because it's shiny. And I don't know if you can see, but it's pulling a little bit, and that's what it does, and it drives me crazy. So that tends to fray more, is my point. With this, because it's a poly burlap material, it actually doesn't fray. And what I do to cut these, usually I would use a rotary cutter to cut all of my 10-inch pieces. But with this, you actually use a wood burning tool. And I tell you what, it's like my best friend. It makes this so much easier to cut. And what you do, if you can see, each row, if you will, of the mesh, if you just take your wood burning tool and you measure out your 10 inches to cut it, you just go in between the middle of one of those, and it burns it, but it adheres it so that it doesn't fray. And now sometimes it does, and you'll see once I go to put the petal together that it might fray a little bit, but I'll show you what I do. So we're going to flip it over with the curled side up. You always want to have the ends that are, and I can never remember how I want to say the words for this, but the finished edges, I guess I should say. You want to have it going up and down and not side to side for this petal. So with this petal, it's pretty straightforward. I won't cut myself dead. I tried to show my dad how to do this, but I thought, okay, well, maybe it's not as easy as I thought. But once I get going and I get into a rhythm, it's actually a lot easier. So all you do is you take one edge and you bring it over to the other edge and make a triangle. Now, no matter how hard I try, which of course this first time I did, and it all matches up, sometimes it doesn't always do it like that. But what you do is you take the edge, and I go like I don't know, about ½ an inch in, and I grab it and I hold this down, because if I don't, then it's pulling all this mesh and it's opening this up. So I kind of just use one hand to pinch it. See, and it's hard to get it started sometimes, but you pinch it just enough in your fingers, which in between this part, so not very much. So just pinch it. And then what I do is I go along, I have my hand and I use my thumb to help me gather the next part, while this is, the rest of my fingers are holding it down. So, I don't know, I guess maybe about an inch or so, well, actually a little bit more. So I just pinch it and I keep holding it in my fingers with my thumb supporting it over here. And I counted, I usually do this about 7 or 8 times to get to this point. And then you see that you still have this here though, that is sticking out. So what I do is I actually flip it over and I fold it in and I fold it in, so that when I put the zip tie on, it'll hold it all together. But before I put the zip tie on, I try and just get it how I want it. You can still fix it after, once you've put the zip tie on. But what you're going to do is you're going to keep holding it in between those 2 fingers. And then with the zip tie, let me show you this one because it's bigger. So the head of the zip tie, you actually want the flat side facing up. So when I go to put this on, I actually put the head of the zip tie as close to my petal as much as I possibly can, so that I can get a better grip when I'm trying to tighten it. So that's basically it. And then what I do is I make sure it all still lines up. I make sure that it's not frayed too much that I need to trim it. And then I take these awesome, wonderful tools. These are wire cutters, and I cut the zip tie off. This is my favorite. I actually got this on Amazon. The brand is Crescent. So I knew it was a reputable brand, and I really do like it. So I recommend it if you need one or looking for one. So again, we're just going to keep doing this the same. So you take one corner and you fold it over. And then with this hand guiding the way, you're going to just pinch it and just push it along until you get towards the end. And then I just fold over the edges in the back so that you can't see it. And then I just kind of fix it a little bit. Take your zip tie with the the flat side of the head up. And I use different size zip ties. I was using the 8-inch ones, but I felt like I was wasting them. So I started using a smaller one, especially for this, because sometimes the petals are going to have 2 zip ties on them. It really just depends on how you want to do it. And so for the purposes of doing this live, or even for a tutorial, you know, you want to get your materials ready. I went ahead and just did the petals ahead of time. And then, so then I'll be using 2 on them, as opposed to me just doing it by myself at home and putting it on without that first zip tie. But anyways, it's really up to your discretion and what's easiest for you. So again, now we've moved on to the red. I'm just going to pinch in between my forefinger and my thumb, and I'm just going to use my hand as I'm holding this side so that this doesn't open up, and I just keep feeding it so that I can get towards the end and I don't have to worry about it overlapping each other incorrectly. Then I just flip it over, lay both sides down while keeping it still in between my 2 fingers. Take the zip tie with the flat side up, and then I just kind of fix it. This is not a fray. This is just how the material is. Sometimes it has these little pieces that are coming out. It's like thread almost. So then take your wire cutters, cut that zip tie. Okay, I've got a few more. So again, you're going to fold it in half. Now, I recognize the fact that I'm left-handed, and a majority of people are probably right-handed that are doing this, and that's okay. I think pretty much everybody I watch is right-handed, so it's a matter of, you know, adapting. But I don't know, the camera could be backwards, so it could look right. So just fix it. I really like this material too because it's really moldable in a sense. It moves quite easy without like ripping it. And so you see here that this is kind of fraying a bit. So I'm just going to cut that off. I try not to be too much of a perfectionist, but you know, when you're making something and you want it to look nice, in my opinion, I just want it to look nice for whoever's going to be taking it home. So the last 2 I have now are the blue. And just going to scrunch it and using my other hand to support it. And then you're folding it over. And take your zip tie. So I decided to do a live as opposed to just recording this and putting it straight onto YouTube. I got a lot more comments than I anticipated, I guess, in some of the groups that I belong to. And a lot of people really liked it and asked if I had a tutorial. So I decided, all right, well, I had enough material to make another one. And I was already going to make this one anyways. So I might as well just do a live. And this is actually, Mom and Dad, are you still here? Let me know if you guys are still here. Please. My parents. Such supportive parents. Got an amazingly supportive husband. I'm very, very lucky. So, yeah, Mom or Dad, if you're here, let me know. Okay, so next we're going to start putting the petals on. And we're not going to be using this outer one. We're going to be using the second wire. So, okay, thank you, Mom. You are still here. So the purpose of this one that I'm making is my mom is a very patriotic person, probably one of the most patriotic people I know. So I am actually making this for her birthday. So surprise, Mom. This one is for you, and it's for your birthday. I've had a lot of inquiries about people wanting one, and I will buy more materials. Finding the blue poly burlap, though, it was a challenge, so I have to see what I can find because apparently it's a popular color. So I'm going to be alternating the red and the white. Now, I haven't done a tutorial yet for a flower, so bear with me. Because I'm still learning these. But you have, on this one, on this frame, there's actually 6 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At each section, you're going to put on one of these petals to this wire itself. So what you do, and with your zip tie, the flat side is always up. So you're going to put it at a diagonal like this. You're going to, wherever I have the zip tie is where I want to lay it on the wire. It just helps me, and I use it as a guide. And it's easier because I don't have to worry about it opening up because the petal's already made. All I'm doing is putting it on the frame. So at this point, you just tighten it. And your petals, they may go one direction, but that's okay. Because at the end, it all works out. So in each of these brackets, I'm actually going to use 3 petals. So there will be 1 on the wire and then 2 in between. And we're alternating right now red and white, with the last 2 sections being where we'll be doing the blue. So, and also if you notice, when I made the petals, the finished edge is on this side at the top. You can see it on this side at the bottom. However, the edge where I cut it faces up. So what I want to do when I'm putting these on, I want this to be the edge that is showing so that we're not seeing the unfinished edge, if that makes sense. And if anybody has any questions, let me know along the way. Yeah, happy birthday, Mom. So the zip tie goes just the same, except it doesn't have the end bracket. So you're going to put your zip tie in, and I have it upside down. See, I'm not perfect. And then it takes a while to make them, or it can. I actually prepped and cut all the material ahead of time, so that is what takes the longest. And I didn't time how long this one was going to take me, but I would say when all is said and done, and putting it together right now too while I'm doing it live, you know, it's not as straightforward while I'm doing it live because I'm explaining everything at the same time. So this could take anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. It really just depends on the size of the flower I'm making and what type of petal I want to do. So now I've alternated, and now I'm at the next bracket in the second section, and I'm going to start with white. So again, you put the zip tie through, and then this is going to overlap. And then you want to make the zip tie as tight as you can so that they don't move around. And you don't have to worry about fixing them as you go, because while you're moving it, they'll probably end up getting all out of, you know, whack. So you could just fix it at the end. I'm just always constantly fixing. It's just me. Okay, and then we'll do a white one, and then we're going to move on to the next bracket. Usually when I'm doing well, lately when I've done a video for YouTube, I'm able to just edit out the part where I'm doing all the monotonous stuff, where I'm continually doing the same thing over and over again. So while anyone I know will tell you that I'm a talker, I think this is probably the harder part for me, is trying to figure out, while I'm talking to myself, quote unquote, what to say to interact, because I don't want to sit here and be boring and say nothing. But I feel very fortunate that I have found that I really like to be as creative as I do with doing wreaths. I do like to make signs as well, but that's not as much my passion as it is making wreaths. And I really love just getting an idea and trying it out and seeing how it goes. There's only been a few times where I haven't liked it, or I sit on it for a minute and, you know, step away so I can come back to it and regroup and then think, okay, what is it about it that I don't like, or I want to fix, or what have you. I actually redid a wreath yesterday. It was another flower, and once I redid the petal to be a different type of petal, I really liked it so much better, because the material that I used, it was a fabric mesh, and while I like that material, it actually frays easier too. So that was not fun, and I was constantly cutting, or I felt like I was constantly cutting. So, and you could see here that this is fraying, but that's okay, because the white one's going to go on top of it anyway. So this is the last one that we're going to be putting the red and white on. And then this crossbar. And I hate it when the zip tie does that. I feel very, what's the word? My hands just don't want to work with me. I think that the biggest challenge for me with making the flowers, I love making the different types of petals. It's coming up with what do I want to do in the middle that is sometimes a challenge for me. I really like it when an idea just comes to me and it works out. I don't like it when I have to sit and think about what I want to do and it takes longer. Let's see. Okay, so this is the last one on the second wire for the red and white. See, and that right there, because you're going to see it, I'm actually going to trim it. And I don't force it, I just cut it where I can see it coming off so that it won't fray. And that one was doing a little bit more. Let's see. There. And usually too, when I'm doing these, I don't cut the zip ties after every one. I usually just leave it, and then I'll cut them, I don't know, like 3 at a time or whatever. So it's really up to you. It's a personal preference. Now we're starting on the blue. And if you have to go or didn't get to watch this, you can watch this as a replay. I will also let you know when I put this up on YouTube. But if you're watching the replay, let me know. And if you like my work, go on over to YouTube and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to try and do more tutorials more often. And thank you, Mary. How are you? Did you see the finished product already? I did one earlier. I'm just remaking it. So if you're on here and you haven't said hi, say hi so I know that you're here, and let me know where you're from. I'm just curious to see who all is watching. You want to be careful too when you're doing this. The poly burlap is not an issue so much as Deco mesh, and it can stick to your clothing. So you want to be careful because it actually can ruin your shirt. I do have an apron. Nobody can see it right now, so I'm not wearing it. But this also doesn't stick so much, so. Thank you, Mary. I am so happy with how it turned out. I really love it. So I am using a total of 15 blue petals and 13 red and 13 white petals. Dad, I knew you were going to answer where you're from. You're from San Diego? Really? Oh my gosh, I didn't know. So am I. My dad, when I first really got started making the wreaths, he was helping me out. I was pleasantly surprised to see how much my dad wanted to help me. But it's been really great getting to just hang out with him and just getting to do this stuff together. I love you too, Dad. It's so relaxing for me. I could just sit here and not talk to anyone, which I know it's crazy for anybody that knows me for me to say that, but it's just, I don't know, it's so relaxing. So, okay, we're done with the outside. Yay! So next, we're going to be working on the third wire here, and we're going to be putting a petal in between. So I'll go back to the red and the white, and we're going to start with the white. But this time, let's see, yeah, we're going to do 3 in each, but we're not going to be using this crossbar. Okay? Norma, you know, I'm told that all the time, that I make it look so easy. And it's easier now, but it took me a minute to get used to it for sure. You did make some flowers, Mary? Hi, Debbie. So then you just want to make sure that it's going to go in between these two. So you'll start to see the difference as we continue to add them. But again, we're adding 3 onto each section, and it's going to go in between each petal. And if anyone has any questions about the materials, or, you know, where I got something, or what have you, just let me know. I actually have gotten a lot of the stuff that I need from Amazon, not material-wise, but just like for tools and what have you, and it's been a great source for me anyway. I actually just bought zip ties recently, so I I actually like the ones that I found, so that's good because you never know what you're going to get. Okay, yeah, I totally will look, Mary. So then we're going to do one more in this section. And this part is definitely not easy, especially because the material, the poly burlap, just getting it in between. There we go. And again, we're still having the finished edge here overlapping. I know you're not going to see this, but I'm going to still cut it anyway. And I actually got a tip from Julie's Wreath Boutique. She uses this UV spray that she puts on her wreaths now, and I actually just got some, and I'm going to start doing that because depending on where people like to put their wreaths, I want to make sure that it's going to last. Yes, this is strictly poly burlap from this one. Hi, Jan. This is poly burlap. Sometimes I do actually mix the mesh materials, but I have found like regular Deco mesh with the poly burlap, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't look nice. It doesn't look cohesive. Except for the center that I'm going to be making out of the Deco mesh. So that, in my opinion, didn't look bad. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1. We got 2 more in this section to put on. I'm just alternating, making sure that the petal is in between the two that it's on top of. I'm not picky, Dad. I'm not picky. I let you help me, don't I? I'm just kidding. I'm picky when it comes to good materials to have for my customers because I make my wreaths, the way I make my wreaths, I should say. I make them as if I would put them up in my own home. And so I can be very critical of myself. Hi, Marcia. I actually did 13 white, 13 red petals, and 15 of the blue. And if you're just now tuning in, you can watch the replay, or when I post this to YouTube, you can see how the petal's made unless you've made one before with this petal. I learned this technique from Julie of Julie's Wreath Boutique. I definitely recommend her. She is a great teacher. I feel very fortunate because I feel like the wreath gods have been upon me, and with everything that I've been doing, and I've been very fortunate for the 3 mentors that I have found, and that is Julie Samako of Southern Charm Wreaths, that is Lori of Hardworking Mom, and another Julie of Julie's Wreath Boutique. You should check them out. They do phenomenal work. They are amazing teachers, very kind. I really wish that they were more on this side of the country where I am, but it seems like everybody's either in North Carolina or South Carolina. So I tell my husband, I really want to go over there because I want to go to Sim's Pottery, which is one of the distributors or the wholesalers. And he just looks at me like I'm crazy. Whether I'm crazy or not is another story. But, you know, hey, there's just, if you're a wreath maker, there's just some sort of a high you get when you get to purchase your materials. I mean, it's just like a bunch of shiny things to choose from, in my opinion. and I love it. I love seeing what's new, and there's always new stuff coming out. I didn't even know about poly burlap until Julie from Julie's Wreath Boutique had mentioned it. And I really hope that I didn't miscount, but I think I might have on the petals. Let's see. See, you can never be too prepared. I always try, but unfortunately it doesn't always work out that way, right? No matter how hard we try. Ah, I don't want you. Okay. Let's see. How was that though, Marcia? Oh my gosh, I could totally see me doing the same thing. Oh, that sounds like so much fun though. Let's see. I just want to make sure, I don't know if I have enough petals. One. Huh. So apparently I don't know how to count to 2. And about how many I had in each? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, apparently I only put 2 in each. So see, this is all a part of what happens. So apparently I had only 2 in each section. So I'm going to space this out a little bit more. Oh, that's what I did. I put too many. Sorry, guys. Let me just go ahead and take some of these off. So I technically should take 3 of these off. So I'll just take these off. See, now this is definitely being human. We all make mistakes. I don't like making them. Okay. Let's see. Now we're going to be using 6 of these. Okay. And we're still using that 3rd bar. Sometimes too, what I do is I just lay it out so I can see it. Oh, I know what I did wrong. That was actually correct. I decided to make a bigger wreath frame. Oh boy. So much for being prepared ahead of time, huh? Okay. So I have one extra section because the 10-inch that I made, it has 5 sections, not 6. So, and technically, you are going to need, for that extra section, a few more petals. I decided to make a bigger one for my mom apparently and forgot that I was going to do that. So you're welcome, Mom. I like the 12-inch or the 10-inch size that I made though. So how's everybody been doing with the virus? Is everybody adhering to what we're supposed to be doing? Has anybody gotten sick? What have you been doing to pass the time? I know my husband and I were sick for about a month, and we were one of the few that actually got to be tested, thankfully, and we were negative, and it's just amazing how much better I feel now. It's thankfully we never had fevers, but it really wears you out, let me tell you, whatever it was we had. And apparently I injured my ribs on the right side from all the coughing I did, and I'm still nursing that. Today I'm feeling better, but I've found that just because I feel better one day doesn't mean that I'm gonna feel better the next day. So it's just an unfortunate thing to have to deal with, but I'm thankful that that we are doing better. And it's definitely been weird, to say the least. Very surreal to just not go anywhere. I honestly have had some anxiety about it, and it's unfortunate, but I feel like you can't trust your fellow neighbor sometimes to do the right thing, and it just makes me nervous. So we've been trying to stay in as much as possible, except for having to go get like the essentials or what have you. that. I really wish I can get this petal to just stay together and not kind of move. You're welcome, Mom. It was a happy accident. But because of that, I don't have enough to finish. So I will get a majority of it done. I mean, everybody's seen the finished product. So let's see. We're almost done. Thanks for hanging in there with me while I count and figure things out. Okay, so now I'm back to putting on what I just took off. Let's see. So here's a white one. That's good though, Marcia. I know it's really hard, especially if you just are not used to having to stay home and now you're being forced with having to. I mean, I've been trying to do what I can for my parents because they're in that group that, you know, they can't afford to go out because of whatever health concerns that there may be, and I don't want anything happening to them. So funny story, I finally got my mom out of the house though. It's been like a month since she's been in a store, and so, you know, with everything that's been going on, it's like a, I guess like a culture shock kind of thing in a sense. And so we went to Costco and I told my mom, I said, okay, don't touch anything. I felt like I had my kids with me. I told her, I said, don't touch anything. I will get it. I was wearing gloves. I felt good. And so then I kept catching her, Mom, don't touch. And at one point it was funny because I told her as I was catching her in the act of going to touch something, and she like raised her hands like she realized what she was doing and stopped before she did it. And it was just funny. I guess you had to be there, but I think sometimes we take things for granted, and until we don't really, you know, have those things taken away from us in a sense, we don't realize or understand. My parents are retired also, Marcia, and so I'm thankful for that. So one more here and we're done with the second row. Okay. Now once we actually are not going to be using the fourth wire. So technically out of the 4 wires, we're using number 2 and number 3. Okay. When we get to the next set of petals, you're actually going to start putting it on this mesh. So, and this actually is, excuse me, there's not going to be as many here. We're still going to go in between. So, let's see. And you want to still make it look like that it's going in between. So we're going to probably go down a good inch or so. And then you just put your zip tie through the mesh. And I usually just move it over, I don't know, like about 4 or 5. And I pull it up through here and then make sure the placement's correct. And there. turn my glue gun on. And then I'm just going to, I don't know, come over about another 4 or 5. Put that through the mesh. Let's see, that goes here. Just want to make sure that the placement is correct. And then since I don't have enough of the burlap cut because I didn't realize I was making a bigger frame or using a bigger frame, I'll show you still how to do the middle and how to do the stars. And then once I'm finished, then I can show you guys later. I'll take a picture or something, but so I'm sorry about that. I'm just glad I have the other one that's finished that you can see, and you get the gist of it. So of how to do this. So I do need one more blue one here. I know, it's really, I really like how big it is too. And some of the wreaths that I've made, I do like how the bigger ones stand out. I actually have a smaller one that I just did. I haven't posted the picture yet because I just finished it. Oh, whoops, it goes here. And it was smaller, and I think, I don't know if it's just because I'm the maker of it, but I could just tell that how much smaller it was, and I thought, oh, okay, well, this would be, you know, good for a bathroom or, you know, a small area or what have you. It just wouldn't be anything that would make a statement like what you said. So this is the 7 mesh. That's what they call it, is a number 7. Thankfully these zip ties go through easily, but if they were any thicker it wouldn't fit. I know that some people use the number 5, and I did get that, and it is bigger, so just in case you're wondering. This was actually a rectangular piece that I just cut out the circle, but they do make circles. Okay, so this is my last one, just because I've run out of materials. Here come my babies. They need to go outside?
Yeah.
That's my husband.
Go on, Frankie. Outside.
Go outside, Frankie. And I know Papa's gonna say hi to Frankie now. Just looking. So I will probably add on 1, if not 2 more blue. Because I had 7 and I had 3 of these on the other one. So yeah, I'll probably add 1 or 2 more blue. See, I told you. Frankie's outside, Papa. But he says hi. We have a 1.5-year-old Chihuahua Terrier. And he's so cute. Oh my God, he loves to cuddle. And he loves to jump on Papa when he comes over. And then we have Copper, who is about 70 pounds. And he's a hound mix of I'm not sure what. And he thinks that he's a lap dog. Frankie thinks he's a big dog, and Copper thinks he's a little dog. So that's fun. Okay. So now that I've run out of petals, I think looks like the glue gun is ready. So I will just do a few of these stars and show you what I did. So I did not do the outer petals. I only did the inner ones because I felt like you just really couldn't see it. So I didn't want to force it and try and add it. So what I did, make sure if you're using a glue gun to use one of these tips so you don't burn your finger, because I tend to forget and then I go to use it and then I burn my finger, and having a glue gun burn is not fun. As you can see from my arm accidentally ran into it the other day. So I'm just going to put some glue on here. And then I want it to stick onto both, so I just hold both of the pieces of the poly burlap and hold the star down, and it doesn't take much because the glue adheres really quick, and it dries really quick. So just take another one, put a little bit in the middle, and then try and make the points going the correct direction too. When I first saw the picture of this, I was trying to figure out where somebody would get the mesh with the stars on it, because it looked like it was on the material. And then when I took a closer look, I realized it wasn't, but I saw that it was made with like, it wasn't felt. It was almost as if somebody made paper stars and just stuck them on, and they laminated them. So when I see that, then my mind starts going and I'm like, okay, so what can I do to make this how I want it to be? And I want it to look nice, because if my name is going to be attached to this and I'm going to be selling it, I don't want somebody to get it and be like, oh, they used this to make that. So I feel like I carefully think out what I'm going to do, especially because I want you to have a good product, and I want to make sure that it's going to look nice in your home too. So I just put one on each, and I'm not trying to be correct as far as, you know, how many stars there are based on how many are on our flag. I wasn't trying to do that. So if you want to, go for it. But I think foam would work too, Marsha, and I think that they have some that are already like red, white, and blue. And I'm sure it would stick just the same. But these are only like 1.5 inches. So I think it's just a personal preference, and I just thought of the wood, and that's why I got that first. Frankie, Papa says hi. Oh, he's under my feet. Bye, boys. Okay, so you get the idea of what I'm doing. So next I'm going to show you how I did the center. So if you make wreaths with Deco mesh, then it's pretty much the same as making a poof. So I take the finished edges and I just scrunched it up like this. And I have about a yard of this, but that was also for the 10-inch. So I actually was gonna do 13, Marsha. That's exactly what my first thought was. But because the other one I made was smaller, I wouldn't have been able to fit that many and make it look decent. So I just decided, I think I did 9. Yeah. So you just take the mesh and you're just going to pick a spot and put your zip tie. If I can get it in there. Okay, and bring it through. Okay, so again, I just gathered the ends and it's sticking to my shirt. Be careful. Okay. And I'm going to trim this. Okay. So just lay this in there. Zip tie it up. Go ahead and cut the zip tie. And then I just continued to keep the finished edges under, and I just kind of gathered a little bit, and I skipped 2 and went to the next and put another zip tie. So I'll show you. Let's put the zip tie in. So I just gathered some of it, kind of just placed it before I put it in. And there's no exact measurement, I want it to, and I didn't do the zip tie all the way because I want to fluff it out and see how it looks. And I honestly like that size. So I don't want to pull any more through. So I'm just going to go ahead and tighten it and cut that off. And then, again, I skipped 2, and I'll put 1 here. So I just keep my finished edges under again, kind of just make a little bit of a poof, and that looks good. And then I'll go ahead and just tighten it a little bit. Okay, fluff it out. And that one looks good too. Awesome. And then tighten it and cut it off. And I'll go ahead and I can do 1 more. Actually, I can't because I have the 2, but I'll still go ahead and do it anyways and show you as if it was here. So. Cooperate. So what I'm going to do is finish up here. I'll cut the extra materials that I need to, and I will finish recording so that I can add this to my YouTube video as well, so that it'll be a complete tutorial. Again, I apologize that I didn't realize that I was using a bigger frame. Let's see. Yeah, I want to pull more through. Okay. So if you're doing a 10-inch like I did with the other one, then a yard of this will be enough. But since I did more, or a bigger frame, then I'm going to need more. So technically what I did is for every 2, I did a poof. And then I did 1 in the center. So this will probably have a total of 7. But that's what it's going to look like. Okay? So this is all I can do for now. I'll go ahead and as soon as I get off of here, I'll go ahead and cut the rest of the materials. But this is what it's going to look like. And as you can see with this laying on top of the other, you see how much bigger the 10-inch and the 12-inch are. So if you have any questions, let me know. Again, I will be putting this on YouTube and I'll finish the video so it's a whole video. But if you took the time to watch, thank you so much. If you're watching the replay, let me know. If you like my work, please follow me on social media. I'm on all forms of social media: Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. I have a website that I'm updating right now with my shop. Most of my items that I have for sale are on Instagram and Facebook. I have a sale. Don't forget, it's ending tonight, 50% off. And if you spread the word, that'd be great. I really appreciate it. And I hope everybody's doing well. Please continue to stay safe, practice social distancing, and I hope you have a great rest of your evening. I love you too, Dad. Thanks for watching. We're back. So yesterday, I had started making this wreath for you all, and I was doing a live, and realized that I had originally made this one on a, I think it was a 10-inch frame, and I had chosen to do a 12-inch frame. So here I was thinking I was doing the same size, and I wasn't. So I apologize again. I had to cut more materials in order to finish this. So the outer ring is done, the second row is done, and now we're working on the inside circle. I was going to reiterate things, but I know that since I had already, went over most of it, that you can easily just rewind it and see, because this is just a continuation of what I was doing. So I went ahead and I already put this one in, and what we're going to do is we're going to put every other one, because we want the petal to go in between these. Okay, so I have my new ones already made up. Just put them here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our zip tie, and we're going to go in about an inch or so. I think I'm going to put this probably like 2 squares away on the mesh. And if you don't have this canvas, it's fine that you can improvise. I actually, when I first started doing this, I was taking Deco mesh and putting 2 together, like the value one, because that one actually it doesn't fall apart or fray as easy as the ones that have foil in it. But yeah, I was just doing that. So I just improvised, make do with what you got, right? So just go ahead and put this here, take our wire cutters and cut it off. And if you have any of these frays, the poly burlap, it's not so bad when it does that, as opposed to like Deco mesh, but you can cut it, just don't force it. So what I mean by that is just don't pull it to make it worse. So we're just going to alternate right now the red and the white. So I'm just gonna do it here. So I just skipped one square. And then I go about 4 or 5 past that. Actually, I'm gonna do one more. Okay, so put the red one here. And a good way for you to know, if you're placing everything correctly is if it's going in between the 2 petals above it. So afterwards, you're welcome to adjust everything. You probably will need to do that. So right now, I'm just putting one in between. So I hope everybody had a good weekend. Ours was quite uneventful. I mean, as most weekends have been for the last month. We're huge baseball fans, and so I was actually telling my husband today, I said it's so weird that baseball should have started a month ago, and we're season ticket holders, so everything just feels really off. It's so surreal, and I hope everyone's making the most of their time. I know that I had happened across a Facebook group about cooking in quarantine, and let me just tell you, some of these people, wow, I want to go to their house for a meal. Now, I mean, I think I'm a pretty good cook, but I mean, some of these people just really go all out with, especially like the presentation of their plate. But I guess we have a lot of more time on our hands than we normally would have. So why not make the most of it in that way, right? But I hope everybody is doing okay and staying healthy. I know that nobody's going to see it, but I still want to trim it anyway. I'm actually going to put this a little bit further over just because of where these two are. Let's see. Yeah. And remember that we're keeping the seam side is the side that you want to be out. That's the side that you want to see. And I try and space these enough apart also, because when we go to do the center, then I can easily just put another zip tie in between to do the mesh that's going to go in the middle. And obviously you can do this any way that you feel comfortable. I just feel comfortable with it facing this way and just putting the zip tie in and then attaching it. So no, I don't want that there. I want to put it here. So I want to thank everyone that has viewed my my live video that I did yesterday, and everyone that has really liked how this turned out, and my other work that I've posted, and for following me, and I really appreciate it. So just thought I wanted to throw that out there right now. I love the community of crafters. I'm not going to say just wreath makers. The community of crafters are so supportive of each other, and it's really unlike anything I've ever belonged to. fabulous women and men, and just really, really great down-to-earth people that I have met for the most part. It's not, I haven't seen like any cattiness or, you know, people arguing about this or that. So it's kind of nice. Actually, that should have gone that way. I'm going to move this one over just a little bit. Sorry, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist at times, so I like everything to be cohesive and uniform. One of my favorite things, and one of, I think, the hardest things for me too, is coming up with like a color scheme. When I do like a Deco mesh wreath and I have a sign and I'm putting all that stuff together, I really like thinking outside the box and doing something that maybe somebody hadn't thought of, or something you might not see. I like when I see pictures, like when I saw this wreath in the picture that I had found. I take everything like I do recipes when I'm cooking. And what I mean by that is, whenever I have a recipe and I'm going to make something, it never ends up being exactly how it's written. I either change ingredients or add ingredients, or I like to put my own little spin on it. So that's kind of the way that I do my wreaths too. And I'm pleasantly surprised 9 times out of 10. I mean, there are the few occasions where I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I choose this? I need to figure out something else because I can't sell this to somebody if I don't like it. My favorite thing too is having custom orders where I have customers, and my customers are so amazing. Thank you so much. That the thing that they say off the bat is, I trust you because I love your work. They tell me, you know, maybe a color they like, or they pick a sign and they're like, you do whatever you want. And that's kind of pressure in a sense, but I also really enjoy it because I'm like, wow, this person's trusting me with something that I am making for them. And it's been a great experience getting to do that. And I think not only do I surprise myself, but I also surprise the customer even more than, you know, what they had expected. And I really like that a lot. So I love all the creativity that this brings. I like making signs too, just not as much as this, because I don't know, I feel like the creativity is there, but I feel there's so much more here. So usually when I make a sign, I paint it, or I've done the embroidery hoops where I've put the material on it. So I like to stand out, and I like to be unique, and I like my work to be that way. So I'm just going to trim this right here. Okay, that's as far as it wants to go, so I'm just gonna leave it there. Turn on the glue gun. So I'm going to, on the bottom row, put 4 of the blue. And I will count how many total petals that I ended up doing as soon as we're done with this, so that you can write it down. I love watching Julie of Julie's Wreath Boutique, because she usually lets you know how many petals. She tells you the size that she's made the petals. And a tidbit just for you, which makes a lot of sense to me. So if you have a 10-inch roll of the mesh, you're gonna want a 10-inch piece that you cut, especially if you're going to be doing it in this style of a petal. Because when you fold it like a triangle, like we did, if you cut it a different length, it's not going to turn out that size. So, and it won't fold into a triangle. All right, so for some reason, my video decided it was going to stop as I was getting to the end of the blue petals. So I've decided to go ahead and, I'm glad I checked, geez, turn this back on so I can show you how to do the center. So as you see, I've already got it started. So what I'm doing is I'm skipping every 2 petals, and I'm taking these 3 fingers and I'm keeping the finished edges of the mesh under. So I just wrap it around loosely around my finger, or my fingers, sorry. And then I should have put a zip tie first. So put a zip tie in between. So again, we're skipping 2 petals. Okay, so just wrap it loosely around those fingers. And then we're going to loosely tighten the twist tie. We're not going to tighten it all the way in case I need to pull some out or get some extra. So then you find those finished edges, or you feel for them, and then you fluff it out like you normally would when you're making a Deco mesh wreath. I think that's a little bit too big, so I'm just going to pull some through. This doesn't have to be perfect, but I'd like them to just at least look somewhat the same. Okay, so that's good there. And I'll go ahead and tighten that. Cut it off. Take another zip tie. You could also put these in here ahead of time if you want to, so that they're there and ready to go. It's up to you. Whatever's easiest for you. And be careful, because if you make wreaths, then you know Deco mesh likes to stick to your clothing. The poly burlap will as well. It won't damage your clothes like the Deco mesh will, but you still just don't want it sticking to your clothes. So you take those 3 fingers again with the finished edges underneath, wrap it loosely around them, just place it in between the zip tie, and then don't tighten it all the way. And then you're going to fluff it out. And I like to say, when in doubt, fluff it out. I don't think that there's such a thing as, I mean, I guess there is such a thing as too much poof, but I would rather I have a nice looking one than having something that looks flat and not full. Because that's how I really feel like these wreaths are supposed to look. They're supposed to look full with the Deco mesh, but okay, that's good. Okay. So we're gonna do 2 more loops. You get a zip tie. I'm just gonna move this for a minute so I can see. There we go. And if you do use this plastic canvas, you want to be careful of the size that you get. And what I mean by size is this is, I believe, a number 7 mesh canvas is what they call it, a number 7. The hole is not as big as a 5. So I guess the smaller the number, the bigger the hole is what I've gathered. But I've only used this size so far because it's what I had. I just recently got the 5, so I've still got to try that out. But like these zip ties, they're not super thick, but they're also thick to go into that plastic mesh. But thankfully they're the same material between the zip tie and the canvas that it's not so hard to push it through. But I think if this was any thicker, I wouldn't be able to get it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, it'd be awesome if you subscribe to my channel. If you saw what I originally started on Facebook, it'd be great if you gave me a follow. I think the best thing that anybody can do for a small business owner is word of mouth, refer them to people that they know and trust. And that's how I've really gotten a lot of my clientele, and so I'm very thankful and I feel very fortunate for this opportunity, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm also just really thankful too that in the wake of this virus that we have going on, it hasn't affected my business too much. And I'm thankful that people are still wanting to buy and purchase and order, and so thank you very much. Let's see. Trying to find the zip tie at the very end. There it is. Okay. So this is not going to be the last loop because we want to do the middle. But you're going to just do the same thing again. Okay, one last loop in the middle. At least I think one is going to be sufficient. So I'm just going to put it over here. Actually, I think I'm going to do just one. Because there's a lot of, I don't know if you can see, but there's quite a bit of space still here. But I think just having one, it'll look nice. So let's just see how that looks. Maybe I'll even make it a little bit bigger. Let's see. And if you need a stand to do this, that's fine. I almost prefer that, depending on what I'm making. Let me just make it a little smaller. I think I like that. Let's see. I'm gonna stand up now so I can see. such a better perspective here. Oh, I guess I could cut this off too. That would be a better perspective as well. Let's see. Just be careful to not cut one of your other poofs. So now I'm just going to fix this so that it all looks like one. And that you don't see the zip ties. So I've got more materials coming. If you're interested in one of these, let me know. I could be here all day doing this, sorry. All right, I think I'm happy with this. Okay, now we have some stars that are missing. So let's go ahead and get those on there. And I've got the glue gun ready. Oh, I need my protective for my finger because I don't want to burn it. Because anybody that uses these hot glue guns, the one thing that does not feel good ever is glue on your finger. And if you've ever burned yourself doing this, is it not amazing how your skin bubbles up so fast? Sorry, I don't mean to be gross or anything, but wow. Looks like I've got some things that need to be cut. Just trim that. There was another one. Where'd it go? Oh, I'm sure I'll find it. Oh, right here. So just kind of hold it together, and then the glue kind of just holds them both in place together, which is great. So these stars, I got them from Michael's online. When I bought more though, I found them from my wholesaler, one of the wholesalers I use. And I painted them myself. I just thought that the wood looked nice. I contemplated the foam, but I don't know that it would have given the same look to me. So I went ahead and went with the wood, and I love it. Okay. Last one. Okay, and there we go. we are all done. So let me just turn it. I think this is the way it's gonna go. Oh my gosh, I love how this turned out. Happy birthday, Mom. I hope that it's one of your best yet, even though that we're still probably going to be in quarantine. But I love you so much, and I hope you enjoy this. And thank you all for tuning in and watching and sticking it out with me while I had a few little setbacks, which I definitely am not going to let that hinder what I'm trying to accomplish. So thank you to everybody that watched, and tune in for my next video.